All right, so today we've got a special episode of the Everything Fort Myers Beach podcast, Everything FMB podcast. So today we've got Gulf Coast Business Bank. We're going to have a special episode. We're going to have 4 guests on today, and we're going to learn all about Gulf Coast Business Bank. So we got Guy Paparella here. He's a board chairman. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved and why you got involved with Gulf Coast Business Bank.
Okay. Good afternoon. I met Bill Blevins in the mid '80s, and he came to me 2021 and asked me if I would be involved in forming a de novo bank and helping him with the capital raise process. And just seeing the passion that he had for starting a new business was really the inspiration for me to say yes and to help him with this bank. What I saw in him that day was what I felt in myself in 1984 when I started my own business, and that's why I got involved with Gulf Coast Business Bank.
So, Guy is a longtime business owner in Fort Myers. You heard him in 1984. That's before I was even born.
Right.
I think College Parkway was a dirt road.
Right.
So nobody really knows business as well as Guy Paparella in Fort Myers. I mean, so there's a lot of good local banks in town. What did you guys kind of see with Gulf Coast Business Bank?
Well, I think that what I saw with Gulf Coast Business Bank was the fact that there was a void in the marketplace at that time for a good community bank that tailored itself to serving business people. And I thought there was a need in Southwest Florida, in Fort Myers and Naples, for a bank that could do just that.
Well, it's all in the name, Business Bank.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And I've been to
that's our focus.
I've been to a few of your events too and stuff like that, and you get the who's who of Southwest Florida business in there. So you guys add in new accounts, almost every day. But you're a board member, so you're the chairman of the board. There's a lot of people that are board members on places and things like that. They're not exactly to be seen, but you're all over the place with the Gulf Coast Business Bank. So how's that been, and what do you think makes you a great board member?
Well, I take an active role with the bank and trying to grow the bank and recommending good customers to the bank, and I'm asked to visit with customers and try to bring them over to the bank, and it's really been a great experience for me. I think that Gulf Coast Business Bank's got a great board. First of all, we have some talented business people on our board. It lends itself to growing a great business bank and helping our colleagues at the bank be successful, and also helping our clients grow their businesses.
Real estate's a very relationship-heavy business. We do a lot of face-to-face stuff like that. Sometimes that gets lost in the banking industry, but I always tell people, go to a local bank because of that reason. So what are some of the things that you guys do in the community, and how you kind of create your relationships and keep those relationships, and some of your relationships probably lead to more business coming into the bank and things like that. So.
Well, I've been in business in Lee County since 1984, and have a lot of business contacts in this area. And we have a board that's filled with successful and experienced business people, and we try to leverage those relationships and bring clients over to the bank. And it's been a real positive effort on the board's part. So, and we're going to continue to do that and grow this bank. And we'll be looking at Collier County in the near future, probably in 25 or 26. So we'll be going to Naples as well.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, you're a bank, so you're not allowed to grow as quickly as, let's say, like a real estate business. I can just go wherever I want, whenever I want, and continue to do business. But there are some rules that you guys have.
There is rules. Yeah, the Fed regulates our growth, and we have to follow that plan. And we're on track to do just that. And we're actually looking for a facility in Collier County right now.
This podcast is about Fort Myers Beach. A lot of it is, and Southwest Florida and the surrounding areas, but a lot of it comes back to that community. And, we do see a lot of your signs out there and stuff like that. So maybe just touch briefly a little bit on that community and how you might be able to help, some people out there.
Well, we think Fort Myers Beach is going to be an opportunity for us. We think it's a little bit underserved by the banking community. We're, I'd say fairly well entrenched in that marketplace. We're out there every day. And we're trying to grow our market share there at Fort Myers Beach.
Every chamber meeting I go to, there's at least one, maybe two people from your bank.
From Gulf
there.
Coast Business Bank.
Every time. All right, guys. Well, that's Guy Paparella. We're going to have a couple more guests from the bank to talk more about Gulf Coast Business Bank. So thanks for coming on, Guy.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. So now we got Bill Blevins. He is the president and CEO of Gulf Coast Business Bank. So Bill actually quit his job at 59 years old. I mean, he looks like he's 42 right now, but why did you quit your job at 59 to start Gulf Coast Business Bank?
Okay. I think everybody has to have a why to change your behavior. So why are you willing to start running, to get faster? Why are you going to be, train yourself to get better in real estate? And my why probably broke down to about 3 items. We've all worked for some management teams that thought they were the smartest people in the room. I had that previous experience in some of the organizations I worked for. The consolidation in the banking industry was a big reason. There's only 2 community banks left besides Gulf Coast Business Bank. There's Edison, and then there's Sanibel Captiva. Both of those are great banks. And then, I think the other thing that I've always thought about is building a great place to work and a legacy for an organization that will continue to serve Southwest Florida.
I see this saying, focused on your dreams and goals. I think it's in the bank, and it's also in your email signature.
Yep,
so tell us a little bit about that.
It's one of our registered little trademarks, and we really believe in trying to help our colleagues as well as our clients be successful. And while that is very important in the business world, there's other things outside of life that are also very important. There's spiritual, there might be health and wellness, there's relationship goals. And we work with a book that we can give away for free by Billy Cox, and it's a dream and goal book. And I truly believe that if I can help my colleagues be successful, they'll help our clients, and then we'll help our shareholders, definitely in that order. And so we really try to focus on that and become a connector bank. There's not a lot of banks that try to build and bring businesses together.
You mentioned a couple other local banks here too. I mean, there's plenty of local banks here, good ones too. What kind of makes you guys stick out?
Okay. Well, I think the difference of dealing with a community bank, and one of the things I'll always tell you, Tom, is to have 2 banking relationships. Because what happened in 2008, 9, and 10, if you were stuck with one organization and that lender left, or they shipped you up to Charlotte to take care of you, that left a lasting impression. And I think the difference is a community bank is you're going to deal with one-on-one with them. We can bring the decision team, and whether that's our senior lender, Tom Robinson, or Stacy Suddeth, our senior credit officer, and myself, to meet with the client. And typically 24 or 48 hours, if you give us the information, we're going to be able to give you a pretty quick decision. Obviously, we have to go through a formal approval process, but we feel that's pretty important. If you ever get into trouble, we're going to take care of you locally. We're not going to ship you away. And then I think the third most important thing is we try to treat everybody like an individual and really give them great customer service. And I think that's been validated from some of our Google reviews.
Yeah, and I think, in banking, I'm sure, you're not dealing with the same situation every single time. Everything's a little bit different. There's different factors that go into a lot of different things. Especially, we're rebuilding Southwest Florida right now. So, the Barrier Islands still have a lot of work going on. There's new developments coming in on Fort Myers Beach, but also in town. There's growth. Fort Myers is, I think, the #1 fastest growing city in America right now. Definitely a lot of potential in this area, which I'm sure that's kind of part of the reason why, the bank was started and things like that. But what do you kind of see in Southwest Florida, in the future here with the growth with businesses, and, everybody likes to support local business too. So I think we're in a great area, but yeah, tell us a little bit about, what you see in Southwest Florida.
Sure. I think, we're pretty bullish on Southwest Florida. A lot of the growth is still coming from rebuilding. That 50% of the population on the Barrier Islands, Fort Myers Beach, and Sanibel Captiva are in the condos, and there might be another year or two if some of those folks come back, and so you're getting the businesses to open up, but the full-time population really isn't quite there to support it. So that's pretty important. We see ourselves serving mainly Southwest Florida and the business community, and three things we want to focus on. We're going to raise some additional capital so we can continue to grow and expand. We've got plans to open up a branch in Collier County, probably in the first quarter of 2026. Why is that important? There is no more community banks in Collier County. The last one was First Florida Integrity Bank, and that sold 2 years ago. And a lot of times when the mergers happen, they just don't kind of work out as well as a lot of folks think they might. So that's kind of important. And then the other thing we're trying to do is build a great culture, because we feel like if we have a great culture, we'll take care of our clients, and obviously then they'll take care of our shareholders by having a good return and people who are happy to work at the organization.
So you guys were founded about, 3 years ago now?
So we got started in probably the first part of 2021. Formally got approved by the regulators in November of 21, raised $23.6 million in capital by April, so about a 6-month time period to raise the capital, and then we opened up in June of 22. So we've been open 27 months. We just hit the $100 million in asset mark, so we're pretty pleased, and we've just got a great team.
I mean, with interest rates, you had COVID, you had all this stuff. A lot of people might say, why start a bank right now? I mean, now we're going back into interest rates starting to kind of come down a little bit. So what's kind of been the hardest part about starting the bank, other than, you had the timing too, but
once we kind of got through the capital raise, and I used to be solid black hair, like Leave It to Beaver, and now you can see that part took its toll on us. I think the hardest part and the funnest part is the people are the most fun part about the bank, and it's also the hardest part to build the right culture so everybody's rowing together. And I thought deposits would be easier to get, and it's taken me a little while to realize that Gulf Coast Business Bank is a deposit-focused bank that makes loans. Because if you don't have the deposits coming in, it's hard to grow, your balance sheet and take care of your clients.
So you guys do commercial lending, you do residential lending too, correct?
Yep. So we mainly do commercial lending is probably our bread and butter. We also do primary and secondary home lending throughout the country. We sell all those off to the secondary market. We don't have a portfolio product right now. That might be something down the road. One of our big focuses is SBA lending, so a lot of business acquisition going on right now. There's a huge population between 50 and 70 that, what am I going to do with my business? Am I going to transition it to the people that work with me? Maybe an ESOP. Maybe I'm going to sell a portion to my partners. Maybe I'm going to try to take some funds off the table. All those are great tools that the SBA can provide to help business owners figure out that process.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of business owners in this town that have been out here for 30, 35 years, and they might be getting pretty close to retiring, but maybe they should be selling that business to someone else that's going to pick it back up, and maybe they can still continue to make money in retirement, while
definitely.
So
there's a good amount of the population that is in that transition period, and we'd love to figure out ways. We don't do investments, we don't do insurance, so our goal is to help you with that, and then we can tell you who to go to, so financial advisors.
So we hear you like to do like triathlons, you like to bike, you like to run and all that kind of stuff. So why do you like to do that kind of stuff, and how does that help you in the banking business?
So I've been doing triathlons, I think, after I retired from soccer at over 50. The upside of that was maybe another T-shirt and then a torn ACL. Triathlons are more running, biking, swimming. I kind of control that. How much I work shows how much better I get. And I enjoy that because when you're doing that and I train with the team, it just helps to relieve stress. And one of the things you'll figure out when you get as wise as Mr. Paparella or myself is it doesn't matter if you have $1 million in the bank or 10 million. If you don't have your health, all that money doesn't really matter as much.
Yep. You'd give every dollar to have your health back and to have more time.
100%.
I know us in real estate, it's a very stressful business, and I know working out and stuff like that, it helps bring the best of me out. It keeps my stress levels even, so I don't take it out on other people and things like that. But, we all say here, you got to take care of yourself first. And when you take care of yourself, you make the best version of yourself. You're going to be the best version for everybody else. And
I'm going to get you a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. Pay yourself first. You got the philosophy already, not only on the financial side by putting money away, but people say, I don't have time to work out. And I tell you, you don't have time not to.
100%. Well, thanks for coming on, Bill. We're going to move on to Tom Robinson to talk about lending. So.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
We got Tom Robinson here. He's the senior lender at Gulf Coast Business Bank. So we were seeing your signs all over Fort Myers Beach, financed by Gulf Coast Business Bank. So there's a ton of rebuilding going out there with businesses. They're rebuilding their brick and mortar, but they're also trying to rebuild their actual business too, which can be a struggle because we're not having the same amount of people that we normally have. It's getting better though. I think bookings are up 35% at this time of year versus last year, which is good. So more people coming out. But just tell us a little bit more about, how you can help people, not only just on the island, but all of Southwest Florida, but how can you help businesses?
Well, specifically as a community bank, obviously, we're looking for businesses that operate in the community, mom and pop stores, hotels, things like that we've been able to help throughout the storm on Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Captiva specifically. We understand what has happened, and because we live here, we understand it. Somebody in North Carolina or California really doesn't understand the devastation that we saw to these businesses and these folks. And I think we have a very good handle on it. When that all happened, when the storm hit, we had a situation where we had a customer that his whole business was Sanibel and Captiva. I mean, you couldn't get to the business, and we have loans out to him. So what did we do? We met with him. We told him, hey, we're going to come up with a plan to help you, because if we didn't give some sort of forbearance on his loans, we would have put him out of business. But instead, we helped him. We increased his line of credit in order to get him back. When the bridge was back open, he was one of the first businesses that was open. I mean, this guy is very appreciative of what we've been able to do for him. We partnered with another local community bank, Sanibel Captiva Bank, who's also involved in the community, for a hotel loan and a restaurant loan to get them back open. Obviously, it takes a team to put everybody back in business. It's not one bank can't do it alone, and obviously these individuals can't do it alone. So whether it's a line of credit, an SBA loan, maybe we look to do an SBA loan. We're looking at several construction loans to rebuild some of these buildings for the owner-occupied buildings that are going on down there. But I think our approach is, we are looking at every individual credit that comes across our desk through our board, through Bill, the president, to see if there's a way that we can help. And there's several tools to do it. It could be a loan, a line of credit, a construction loan. The state of Florida has some programs that we've been able to use to help these folks, but we're well aware of what's going on. And I think we take an individual approach to help these folks out.
Yeah, and I think having the compassion of, we're here too. We went through the storm as well. And, a banker that's in California or New York or anything like that, you're just a number to them. They don't care if you got hit by a Cat 5 or, they don't care. I mean,
well, when you live here and work here, it's important to give back to the community in which you support, because ultimately our business is built on members of the community, right? We're dealing with local business owners in order to build a bank, and we're literally building a bank one customer at a time.
That's how you got to build it. And going back into, the different banks and stuff like that, I mean, it's, to rebuild the beach too, it's not like it's going to be one builder. It's going to be lots of different builders. It's going to be a village of people basically helping to rebuild. And there's room for everybody.
On these larger deals, it may be a combination of 3 or 4 banks. And, you will see the same 3 or 4 banks. Some of those are local, willing to help these people. And that's what's important.
We see you out there all the time. You guys are at the chamber events. You're at the lunches. You come to all that kind of stuff. So it's great to see you guys in the community all the time as well. Let's get into maybe, we just had the Fed just drop the Fed rate 0.5 point. So, obviously the mortgage rate that was already kind of baked in. But just kind of tell us a little bit about what your outlook is in 2025. The Feds, said they're going to continue to drop rates and things like that. So it's not only great for the housing market, but it's great for business too, right?
It is. So on construction loans, where we price construction loans at prime rate plus a spread, obviously going down 0.5 point makes a big difference. The long-term rates, when we look at the 5-year Treasury and we price our deals based off of that, there's been a little bit of movement in the Treasury, not as much as 50 basis points. It doesn't trickle down to that. But, we're looking to price deals within the market. Obviously, this is a very competitive market. There's a bank on every corner on 41, right? There's plenty of opportunity. There's credit unions. There's banks. So what sets us apart, I think, is the people that we have. Rate is obviously a very important factor. People will shop you on rate. It's just like CDs. Some people will leave you for 10 basis points or a quarter of a basis points. But when it comes to lending, I think it's really based on the relationship as much as the rate. Those two have to go hand in hand. You have to understand what the business is doing, understand their business, and then assign an appropriate risk to it that's fair for them, but also fair for the bank. But as rates start to come down, I think we will see some movement come down in long-term rates, which will be good. Maybe we could see some refinances come and due. Obviously, there's a lot of loans that were done 5 years ago that were at the 3.5 to 3.75% rate that are going to be coming due, and banks are going to be competing on that business. Several banks in town maybe aren't looking to renew commercial real estate. Maybe their portfolio is such that it's too large and they're looking to shed some of that. That's great opportunities for us, and we're looking at these opportunities as they come every month. As these people are getting notices from their bank saying, hey, your loan's coming due, they may or may not want to keep that on the books. So rates will play an important part of that. I think it's going to open the door for us some additional opportunities as these rates come lower and loans start to mature.
Right. I think the thing with rates too is, maybe there's someone out there that might do a little bit lower. What sets you guys apart from maybe someone that might be able to do a little bit lower?
Well, it's just like I said before, rate is just one thing that you look at. When you run into a situation or a problem, do you want to deal with a bank in California, or do you want to drive to our office on Metro Parkway and talk to us directly? That's the biggest thing, is dealing with people that are local. Small businesses, a lot of them have had problems getting access to capital with these bigger banks, where we've come in and been able to lend to some of these smaller companies. Most recently, a year and a half ago, an underground utility company came to me. They were only a little over a year in business, really weren't all that profitable, but the individual I knew personally, and we took a chance and gave him a loan. Now here we are, almost 3 years later, we've increased that loan 2 times. And he would tell you, if it wasn't for the bank, he wouldn't have been able to grow his business the way he wanted to. There's a hard and fast rule that everybody says, well, you got to be in business for 3 years, 4 years, whatever the case may be. Again, that's the advantage that we have, to be able to help these individuals that we know in the community, to be able to get them access to capital that they need to grow their business or start a business.
Because it's not an easy thing for a small business to do, to be able to find that capital and stuff like that. It's in the real estate space, we always like to do face-to-face and a handshake. That's the way I like to do business.
We say it all the time in the bank is, the advantage that we have is going out, sitting in the customer's office, hearing their story, how they got started. But we sell face-to-face. We're old school. I typically don't make a loan to somebody unless I see the whites of their eyes. The character of a person is almost as important as the collateral and the cash flow. But when you have those 3 things together, and a deal may or may not make a whole lot of sense, it helps make sense when you know who you're lending to.
I think that's a huge thing in business and banking.
Yeah, it's the same thing in real estate. You get a lot of calls from people moving here from Chicago or New York, but until they actually get here and see you face to face, then you understand if they're the real deal or not.
That's the biggest thing in real estate, is to get face to face as soon as you can, because they can call any agent they want, and they're going to open the same door. But we have a totally different set of value that we bring to that client than just opening the door.
Yeah, we say the same thing at the bank is, if you wanted to go talk to a commercial lender, or if you wanted to talk to somebody on the board of directors, or if you wanted to talk to the president of the bank, how many banks can you walk into and make that happen? You know what? On any given day, Bill and I are typically in the office every day. That's a pretty powerful statement, to walk in and talk to the senior lender and the president of the bank about your request. You can't do that everywhere. And we pride ourselves on that.
So there's a lot of condo associations and stuff out on the beach too. They're going through lots of repairs and things like that. What are some ways you can help people like that?
So the condo associations, we have a few loans out there to these folks that need to do some renovations and rehabs. So we are looking at those requests. We like those requests. Obviously, they're They're tied to the ability to special assess the members, the owners of those units. And again, we are actively pursuing that market right now.
This is Tom Robinson, senior lender at Gulf Coast Business Bank, but you're also a 27 or 28 year Southwest Florida resident?
I am. I'm from Pittsburgh originally. So I've been here for quite some time. I started coming here in 1988. My parents had a place in Bonita, so Fort Myers Beach and Times Square was my old stomping ground. So I'm anxious to get it going again and build it back better.
So local bank, local people, local business. That's what it's all about. Thanks for coming on.
Thank
Tom.
you. Thanks for your time today.
All right. Last but not least, we got Rosie Rano. She is the Vice President and Branch Manager.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how you guys operate in the office and things like that, and tell us about the team you have there. And
Sure. So I have a team of 3. It's me and 2 personal bankers. My retail team is about 80 plus years of experience. I have very experienced personal bankers. Day to day, there's no more foot traffic in most banks. Everything we do is pretty much phone calls, emails. I can say the last week we've opened up over 25 accounts. Most people won't know that because the person never walked in. So, we do manage to do things via phone, via email. We try and accommodate. We're the only branch. So I try and accommodate as much as possible, make sure that the person's not needing to come into the office. Do I want to do business face-to-face? Most of them are from the lenders. They're giving us the referrals to open up the accounts. So I'm going by information that they give us. But we do a lot of phone calls and a lot of, emailing back and forth. That's just where we're at today with banking.
yeah, same thing in the real estate space. We've been here for 2 years. I think I've had 1 walk-in.
Right.
It was a good one. It was a good
right.
one, but it was the only one in 2 years.
Right.
So, but you always got to be prepared too. You always got to be
Yes.
prepared. So,
And we like walk-ins because
Yeah.
now we're starting to see them. Our brand, our name is out there. So we are starting to see walk-ins. So that's kind of nice because
you're right there on Metro Parkway too.
Yep.
That's where all the businesses are.
Yes.
So if you're out there, stop in and see what Gulf Coast Business Bank is all about.
Absolutely.
So the technology out there is getting better and better every year. Unfortunately, there's people in this world that have no problem committing fraud or stealing from businesses. What are some of the ways Gulf Coast Business Bank kind of helps combat these risks and kind of stay ahead of the curve when it comes to banking and fraud?
So we deal with majority of business owners and accounts. I know it's in our name, Gulf Coast Business Bank, but we do offer personal accounts as well, but majority are businesses. And one thing we do offer is called Positive Pay. It is a free service to every business owner. It is a fraud tool. So what it does is the client will update all their checks the night before and send us that file. And then when checks get presented to us throughout the day, we will make sure that it's on their file. If it's not, then we will kick it out and make sure that they look at it to make sure that they wrote it. So we actually had a couple of clients that had what we call washed checks. They made payments to vendors, mailed them out. Someone took their mail, washed the name out, and put their personal name. And luckily, they had Positive Pay in place because she turned down those 4 checks that were a total of almost $60,000.
Ooh, and for a small business, that's a pretty big hit.
Yes. So she's got the right tool in place. And like I said, all of our clients have it, and they're able to use it and make sure that every check, every ACH that's coming through is what they actually paid out.
So if I want to open up an account at Gulf Coast Business Bank, what's my first step?
Giving me a call, emailing, coming in. Again, we make it as easy as possible. Unfortunately for right now, you can't do anything on our website as far as, trying to open up an account through there. We just don't have that piece yet. We're getting there, but you would have to either call the branch, email us, or walk in.
Now, Rosie, you've been in Fort Myers for a while, Southwest Florida for a while. So tell us a little bit about, what brought you here, how long you've been here, and why do you love our community so much?
Sure. So I've been here for 19 years, came from the D.C. area. My husband got tired of working out in the cold, so never been to Fort Myers. We packed up our 3 kids, me and him, and we moved to Fort Myers. I don't know why we stayed. My whole family said they would see us back in a year. And we're here 19 years later. I moved out in Gateway, loved the community, loved that everything was there. The school was there, the football field, the soccer field. So my kids grew up in Gateway, and we fell in love with the area. So, and I told my family, I'm never coming back to DC. Traffic is terrible there. Not that it's any better here, but it's gotten worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least we got sunshine, and
Yes.
I mean, I've heard that story over and over and over. Not always from DC, but from all kinds of different places.
Right. Yeah.
They're all
So he
coming
picked
down
a spot. He picked Fort Myers for some reason, and that's where we landed.
Well, it's been found. I mean, it is actually one of the fastest growing cities in America right now, for good reason. Yeah. But yeah, the weather is a big reason.
I'll reiterate what Tom said. We are building our brand and our bank one client at a time. Customer service is huge for us. We have 18 positive, 5 Google reviews right now. I can tell you 9 out of 10 clients that do walk through my doors, I do know them by name. I know their family, their kids. I really get to know clients. Most banks you walk into, you're kind of just a number, and it's next, and they do your transaction and they're done. How do you get to know somebody? How do you get to know if they have other needs if you don't talk to them and start asking them questions? So, I love that piece of it. Customer service is a huge piece of what we do, because how do we bring people to Gulf Coast Business Bank if service is not top priority?
Right. I mean, that's the number one thing is service and getting back to people.
Yes.
Stuff like that. It does so much for your business and helps it grow and gives you the reputation, and then you get all those nice, good Google reviews, which we love on the real estate side too, because that's what everybody looks at. They want to see, who you work with, what do they say about you, stuff like that. And everything I've heard about Gulf Coast Business Bank is all very super positive, and I think we're lucky to have you guys in Southwest Florida, and we're excited to see you guys continue to grow and be in the community and continue to help everything get rebuilt and turn this place into just one of the nicest places in the country. I think when it's all said and done, the next 5-10 years, I think with a lot of this, new development, new things coming, new infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's going to be a great place, continue to be a great place. We might have a little bit more traffic, but nowhere near some of these other big cities and stuff like that.
We're looking to grow in Collier County as well. And, and then hopefully we'll have a branch out in the Cape at some point. So we're looking to grow just like the community is itself.
And I always say with traffic too, it's like, would you rather see palm trees and sunshine or snow plows and gray skies? So, I mean, I'll sit in traffic all day if I have sunshine and palm trees.
Yes.
So, Gulf Coast Business Bank, stop by, go see Rosie, open up your account, especially if you're a small business. But even if you're not, go open an account there. They're
personal
great
accounts,
bank.
yes.
I've got accounts there, so
thank you.
Go on over.
We appreciate it.